Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Cat's Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends. Today's episode is with my friend, Geoffrey Cann. Geoffrey was born in St. John, New Brunswick. He's been happily married to his amazing wife, Marjorie, for 36 years. They're now living in Sechelt, BC, on the Sunshine Coast and are loving every day of their lives together. They are proud of their two children, Bridget in Toronto and Ryan in Calgary. In fact, Ryan works with Geoffrey. Besides Geoffrey's loved ones, he's passionate about cooking, cycling, and travel. He's also extremely helpful with cancer and kidney disease research and support. Friends, you'll find his full bio attached. Geoffrey, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so delighted to be invited, and thank you.
The first time I met you, I remember feeling how calm you were and an amazing vision that you had for all things that you were working on. And I was always impressed. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Are you ready for the questions that we sent you?
I'm totally ready. Let's rock on.
Excellent. All right. Your greatest challenge over the last almost a year, if you can believe it.
Well, the biggest challenge by far started in around mid-February, early March, along with everyone else. I had lined up an entire year carefully with a game plan to execute. And within the space of probably 2 or 3 weeks, I watched the entire year up and vanish in a puff of smoke. And so by the end of March, whatever plans I had made for the year needed to be completely rethought. So the biggest challenge for me was how to pivot at that moment. What do you do? Do you crawl into a shell and cross your fingers and hope everything turns out, or do you look forward? And I decided that given that my branding and the work that I do speaks to oil and gas about the wave of digital change, I decided that the right thing to do was to embrace the digital world as fully and as fitfully as I possibly could, even though I'm living in a place where, to be blunt, you just can't go down to the corner store. There's no Best Buy here. It's not like you can go down and buy a new monitor. Everything's got to be purchased online. Mm-hmm. So I developed a complete new online studio in my home office. It features multiple cameras, microphones, lights, sound installation, everything, so that I could go on doing what I was doing, but doing in a pure virtual way. And that's been the biggest challenge, was that moment. And then for the last say 9 months, it's been debugging it and making it work and creating new revenue streams for myself, new business model. And then to continue to adapt and evolve that has been the biggest success.
Wow, and good for you to build a studio around it to ensure the very best quality, which you've done. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a real exercise in 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Even now, there's some things, if I had the option, I would do things quite differently. And I've written about it and put a podcast together about it and record a little video about it. If you want to do this, you don't do things half-assed. You go in and go all in. So I've gone all in. But even with that, there's still plenty of room for improvement, things that I would do differently.
No doubt. Well, of course, with technology, that changes every moment of the day, doesn't it?
Indeed.
So
yep.
Always something
exactly.
new.
Quite right.
Excellent. What about the top 3 things that you'd like to share with the audience today, Geoffrey?
Let me give you 3 things I wanted to sort of speak about. So the first thing is that this pandemic has absolutely changed us forever, and so that would be my first observation. And there is no going back to the way we were, and part it's driven by all kinds of factors, but this virus it has clearly demonstrated a partiality to those of us with health issues. And as it turns out, a huge number of Canadians have subtle and minor health issues. Minor because our healthcare systems are so good at making these things now minor. It used to be if you got diabetes, that was a death sentence. So now, no, that's just, you can just cope with it. But this virus doesn't seem to show the same kind of care for human life. It's actually quite merciless and ruthless. And so this is now with us forever, and we have no idea how it's going to mutate over time and evolve. So huge wake-up call for all of us that we're now going to need to adapt to accommodate that. That's sort of number one that really stands out for me. Number two, the world is not standing still. I was on a phone call this morning, if you can believe, with a young chap in Ghana, in West Africa. And he wanted to talk about the democratization of energy, leveraging blockchain and artificial intelligence solutions and solar panels on rooftops and batteries. This is not some high-tech Silicon Valley entrepreneur. This is a young guy in Ghana who has this amazing vision about how he's going to bring energy to the 500 million people who still don't have clean energy.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's just very, very thoughtful, very carefully thought out, had his business model sorted out, and is working hard to figure this out. The idea that we're going to stand still and go back to the way things were, young people are not standing still.
No, they're not.
Not standing still, and they're gonna work hard to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing I would point out, or at least the third observation I would share, comes from staring at Tesla's cars, of all things. When you drive a Tesla down the road, I don't have one, but I can't wait to get my hands on one. But if you drive a Tesla down the road and you encounter a pothole, a closed road, a construction crew, or you encounter some unusual event like an animal crossing in front of you, Tesla's machines absorb all of that information, and then they immediately pass it on to all of the other Tesla vehicles out there, so that the second vehicle coming along is now ready to deal with this thing that's happened in front of them. These machines are learning at a pace that humans, we're trapped in a learning model from, I don't know, 5,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
These machines are learning at a pace that is far faster and far outstrips our pace of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that strikes me, one of the key takeaways, I think, is that we as humans, if we're going to participate fully in a world which features machines that learn at that speed, we're going to have to become very, very good at doing the sorts of things that make us uniquely human. Teamwork and problem solving and creativity and empathy and insight and analysis and the like. And we're not good at that. We need to let go of, in the work world, let go of doing all of this administrative nonsense and be saying to the bosses out there, you got to give me the technology to get me off of this sort of treadmill of, correcting documents and entering data. Let the machine do that. We need to move our entire society forward so that it's a learning society. Mm-hmm. And if we don't do that, we are in big trouble. And the oil and gas industry in particular is not great at innovating. It doesn't scale well in ideas, and it doesn't innovate very, very well. And we need to fix that. Those are the three things that I sort of put them together as a package. We cannot go back to the way we were. Other parts of the world are racing ahead faster and more furiously. And we are changing too slowly because we think about the world of change in a learning model, which is just no longer works. And so there's my three takeaways for the world. We got to get on our giddy up and get on with it.
I agree with you. And I'm sure you've spoken to a few that are starting to move forward, but man, I'm with you. There was still, as a headhunter, as you know, there were still a lot of people for the last however many years still sitting across me actually using the words, can't wait for it to come back.
Yeah, come back to what? Like, it's not coming back. It's not going to come back. Who is going to, knowing that, that your loved one or your spouse has some sort of minor health issue, and who's now going to take the chance that they're ever going to expose themselves unintentionally to some virus or some new affliction that you're not going to bring into your house and cause havoc in your household? Like, never going to happen. Never going to happen. Okay, like we got to get people got to get over this and say, all right, so we're in a new world. Let's innovate and rethink how we're going to do this. Yeah, we'll get there, but the idea that we're just going to go back to the way we were, that's gone.
Have you read any of Seth Godin's stuff?
I have dabbled in Seth. I've actually been said that I look a lot like him.
You do, actually.
Yeah. Well, I have spiky white hair and it just doesn't grow very pleasantly. I mean, you have beautiful blonde hair, but mine is just ugly white. So I just cut it all off. But the net effect is I look
Jeffrey,
like
I
Seth.
didn't mean how you looked. I meant how you thought. You're so funny. Anyway.
Oh, there you
Thank you.
go.
That's awesome. And what about the last piece where it's a good news story, legacy, opportunity, anything you want to close with?
Well, I'm working on an idea that came about from a workshop, and I wanted to kind of leave this as a thought. We care where things come from now.
Mm-hmm.
We care about organic food. We can track the fibers of the woolen sweater right down to the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
We really care where things come from, but we don't currently care that much about where our energy products come from.
Good
And
point.
we don't have an emotional relationship with our energy products. And because of that, and we don't really have much, it's not very democratic. We don't have a lot of choice. We sign up for long-term supply arrangements to get our energy products. I think we're on the edge of a major change because the building blocks are now falling into place where we will be able to care where our energy comes from.
Good.
And we will start to force our energy systems and suppliers to be much more transparent about, is it fossil fuel based? Am I buying an electron? Is it really a green electron? Really? If I want to say, for instance, here's an interesting thought. Could I donate energy to someone who needs it today? No.
Not today.
Not today. I could
Nope.
donate clothing. I could donate food. I can donate my time. I can give them money, but I can't donate energy. Wouldn't it be cool if we could donate energy
Yeah.
to people who need it?
Yeah.
Why not? My house
Why
is going to
not?
have a solar power on the roof. I'm going to have electricity and a battery somewhere. My battery powered car is going to. Why would I not be able to say to so as a charitable donation, I'm going to donate my energy?
100%.
We are very close to being able to do these sorts of crazy things. So where we care about where things come from, we've been unable to care about where energy comes from. We are at the edge where this is now going to become possible, and there's a great prize awaiting for all of us if we can figure this out. So it'll make the world a much better place.
I love it. Where it's come from, how it's made, who's been involved, was there any child labor, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. What did you do? Did you deforest something for this?
Yeah.
Did this product come from a place that has programs supporting Aboriginal communities? Is this a product that it meets my sustainability criteria or my goals? How much carbon was truly emitted from this? Is it really a zero carbon product, or is it a net zero product? And can you prove to me where the netting out was actually done? These are really questions we can't answer now, but I think the next generation young people, they're going to want to know the answers to this, and they're going to insist on getting them. And there's a huge prize if we can figure this out.
Good. I love it. I want Alberta oil sold again, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's got to be as clean as sunshine, though. That's the trick.
Of course.
That's the trick. Yep.
Of course.
Enough of the we'll do our best. No. You have to get to be as clean as sunshine. That's the benchmark.
Yeah, I'd like to see the other side of the world doing that too.
Yep. But you know what? If they don't, there will be people in the world who will pay for energy products that are clean.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's definitely coming. And I think, the idea that if you take the EU Green Deal in Europe as just one example, the Europeans are not going to permit the suppliers of their products to simply offload the carbon problem to the supply chain. They're going to be saying to the supply chain at every step, you need to tell us where and how you're consuming energy and what you're doing to help us meet our carbon commitments. Mm-hmm. And if North Americans choose not to participate in that, you will not be selling into Europe. And there's a 350 million person first world consuming market that's just going to vanish on us.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. We do not have the luxury to kind of say, well, we'll just go do our own thing anymore. It's not going to work.
No, I'm glad.
Yeah, good. Exactly.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, my friend. I am delighted
Thank
that
you.
you were able to stay with us today, and thank you for sharing your words of wisdom. Another great conversation with Geoffrey Cann.
Thank you so much again for having me on board. And if people are interested, just look me up online. I'm pretty easy to find. As Geoffrey with a G, and yeah, and by all means check in. I'll take any conversation any day of the week with anybody who wants to talk about energy of the future.
That's awesome, Geoffrey. Thank you for making yourself available to everyone. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
All my best to you and your family.
Thank you. I will pass that on. It's been probably the loneliest Christmas ever. We think my wife and I were kind of joking, but not really. We had between us 120 years of Christmases, and this is the first one we've spent without any family ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
it's just crushing.
yeah, it is. And you had each other. And there's so many that were alone. It's like, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very, 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 very challenging. But I taught my mom, who's in her 80s, how to use Zoom.
Oh,
She's in New Brunswick, so I'm doing this over. I'm a help desk. I'm a British Columbia help desk to help the elderly use Zoom. So I help her get onto Zoom, and then we organized a family call with all the siblings. So there's 8 or 9 of us on the call, and there's my mom
so
dialed in like everybody
nice.
else. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
That's so nice. Well done,
it,
Geoffrey.
it can be done.
It can. It can. There's. My dad always said it's always figure outable.
True enough.
Thanks again, Geoffrey. I really appreciate it. Everyone, Geoffrey Cann, check out and reach out to Geoffrey anytime about anything energy now and in the future. I wish you well, and thank you again for joining us on Cat's Track. Take care.